What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Riss about to discuss another video, and today we're going to be talking about the biggest takeaways from this year's NBA free agency. Alright guys, so there's a lot of moves that took place, some expected, others unexpected, and one that we were waiting on for sure, not necessarily just purely free agency, but Damian Lillard requesting a trade, asking out, so there's a lot to recap and talk about in this video. So before I get into this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I post videos about sports, lifestyle, pop culture, NBA, NFL, and things of that nature. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So guys, really how I want to structure this video is talking about basically the contenders and some of the moves I think that were the best in a sense, and that you can clearly tell is going to make a huge impact on the NBA season. Whether it's different teams adding pieces to help get them over the top, or where players left different destinations to join a different team to have a shot to win a championship, we're going to be talking about things of that nature. A sneaky team that I want to talk about first off is the Dallas Mavericks. They re-signed Kyrie Irving, which was priority number one for sure, but then there was also a couple of more moves that I liked, which were very intriguing. They were able to sign Seth Curry, which is going to help in terms of their depth in scoring, and this will be Seth Curry's second stint with the Dallas Mavericks. He was on the Mavericks a few years ago when they were in the NBA bubble, and he was able to help them in the playoffs as well. Not to mention, him and Kyrie were teammates at Duke in college, so that'll help with some chemistry and camaraderie there, and overall that team will have more of a scoring punch with Seth Curry on the team, because whenever you have a Curry on the team regardless, that's going to be able to help improve your shooting. A couple of other moves that I like from the Dallas Mavericks is them having today a sign and trade deal done with the Boston Celtics to acquire Grant Williams in a 4-year $53 million deal. I really like that one. Sometimes Grant Williams, he's iffy to me, but he is an impactful role player and he'll help them in the defensive end for sure, so I think that's a plus for them. They've needed defense. That was their biggest problem last year after the All-Star break, which led them to missing the playoffs and even missing a play-in spot. So Grant Williams will for sure be able to help in that area, and additionally sometimes shooting as well. He can be streaky at times, but he'll be able to help Dallas in different ways. They also re-signed Dwight Powell, not the greatest big man, but he's always been able to have a presence and being able to help defensively in Dallas. And then another deal that I saw today, a restricted free agent, the Dallas Mavericks offered Matisse Thybulle of the Portland Trail Blazers a 3-year $33 million offer sheet, and the Portland Trail Blazers have 2 days to match that offer. Now I'm not entirely sure that Portland won't match it. They are shaping up to the future. As I mentioned earlier, Damian Lillard did request a trade, and we'll talk about that later. Of course, they're going to be building around Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, and Matisse Thybulle would be, you can say, an integral part of that future in terms of defensively, but offensively he isn't the greatest. Defensively he's a perfect fit for Dallas, so it'll be interesting to see if Dallas is able to acquire him from the Portland Trail Blazers. If so, that's a huge plus. Acquiring Thybulle and Grant Williams potentially, that would be amazing, but time will tell. That would be a huge W if they're able to sign Matisse Thybulle and snatch him away, but if not, they still have some hope for sure on the defensive end. They drafted in this year's draft Derek Lively from Duke University with the 12th pick, and then also they still have players on their roster like Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, who they can continue to develop. So the Mavericks, they're definitely looking up, and I would say if I had to grade their free agency, I would definitely give them like a B or a B+. If Luka and Kyrie can just continue to get more chemistry together, develop that camaraderie, and be dominant, sky's really the limit for them. The Western Conference is for sure stacked, but they'll be one of those teams in a mix if they're able to just get their defense right. Jason Kidd is able to implement the right looks for each game and each game plan, because like this year, the Western Conference, I mean, I can see like 10 to 12 teams that potentially can be competitive, have a shot to make the play-in the playoffs, and maybe even 6 to 7 teams that can be contenders, which is crazy to say because really it's usually just 3 to 4, but a lot of teams got better in this offseason. Moving on to the next team, we have to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. They made the Western Conference Finals this past season, getting swept to the Nuggets, but in the grand scheme of things, no one really expected them to get there, considering how they started off the season. The trades that they made at the trade deadline were huge and integral to that newfound success going into the postseason, and now this offseason, they were able to essentially re-sign everyone from that new and improved trade deadline team. Austin Reeves is back for 4 years, Rui Hachimura re-signed as well, D'Angelo Russell re-signed on a 2-year deal. They were also able to grab Gabe Vincent away from the Miami Heat, which is going to be really good for them. They didn't re-sign players like Dennis Schroeder or Malik Beasley or things of that nature, but like I said, a player like a Gabe Vincent or something like that, they're going to be able to help fill in that role. They also got Cam Reddish from Portland. I think he'll be able to help them in ways as well. Taurean Prince. So a lot of just depth, adding to that depth they had in the playoffs with different faces, but also keeping most of the team together. And Austin Reeves, I really like him. He's going to be a wild card going into the next couple of years. If he can continue to improve on what he did last year, man, like we're talking about a really good third option. And no one expected this from him, of course, but he's just been able to continue to initiate the offense, be able to score when needed, play make for different players on the Lakers, be able to take good, efficient shots. So I really like Austin Reeves in his game, and he for sure is just tough with it, and he's nice with it, and he's a dog. And then, of course, the head of the snake, LeBron and AD, you know what they're going to do. LeBron is 38 years old, going to turn 39 in December, which is insane to me because he's still so dominant and one of the best players in the league. So we can never take his greatness for granted. Also, AD, he's one of the best players for sure when healthy, but we have to underline when healthy because we never know with that. But if this team can mostly stay together, stay consistent, I don't see why it wouldn't be one of the best teams in the Western Conference next year. I've said in previous videos before, if that same team had started together at the beginning of the 2023 season, one can make the argument that they would be a top 3 seed and maybe even in the NBA Finals. But the Nuggets, I mean, they were clearly the best team last year. So if I had to rate the Lakers offseason, I would say for sure a B+. They are marginally better, I would say. They are close to the Denver Nuggets in a sense. The Denver Nuggets, they did lose Bruce Brown to the Indiana Pacers, and he got a crazy bag for sure. But I still think the Denver Nuggets are the best team. The Phoenix Suns, we're going to talk about them next because that's another interesting component of the Western Conference and in the league in general. The Los Angeles Lakers, they're one step closer to potentially getting banner number 18. The Phoenix Suns, man, this is an interesting one for sure. D-Book, KD, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Ayton, and other players. That's going to be great to see next year, I would say, on surface level. There's a lot of different storylines we could throw there. Of course, health, continuity, bench, how are they going to do, and things like that. But you have 3 prolific scorers on the same team like that, anything is possible. Those who have been watching my channel for a while and know me personally know that I'm a Devin Booker fan for sure. Been loving his game since his Kentucky days. Been a fan of him for the past 8 years since I was 12 years old. So I have mixed feelings about this new trio. And objectively speaking, I think that it can work, but it's just a lot of ifs and scenarios, and we just have to see what happens. Now, looking at things from a free agent perspective, they were severely limited, of course. The Suns' big four, if that's what you want to call them, between KD, D-Book, Bradley Beal, and DeAndre Ayton, are getting $161.5 million total next season. And with that lack of cap space between those four, the Spurs getting that type of money, the moves were severely limited, but they were able to make the best of what they were able to do. One signing that I really liked, which I think is going to be really good for their bench depth and scoring in general, besides the obvious scoring punch that's going to come from the big 3, is Eric Gordon. Now, Eric Gordon obviously isn't that same player from winning the 2017 Sixth Man of the Year, but he is surely going to provide some scoring and some help. Say in the playoffs this year, they were to have someone like Eric Gordon. Now, sometimes he is streaky, so that plays a factor, but he's able to initiate the offense. He's a threat from 3. He's able to score, play make, and things of that nature, so he'll for sure be able to help the Phoenix Suns bench. They're also able to re-sign Josh Okogie, who was, I would say, an impactful role player to say the least. I don't think he should be that 5th guy starting, but that's just my 2 cents in it. Also, Cameron Payne, getting him back as well, he'll be able to facilitate the offense. I think he's been great in the past few years that he has been in Phoenix, so that's a huge piece for them. They also signed Yuta Watanabe, who was on the Brooklyn Nets with KD last year, so I think some of that continuity, he's also a pretty good shooter from the perimeter. He'll be able to help in different ways with the Phoenix Suns. Signing guys like Drew Eubanks, Chimez Metu, keeping Damian Lee, and just people like that, Keita Bates-Diop. Just adding pieces like that, I would say, wild cards. People who are able to just defend and guard, that's really going to help them defensively. They have Frank Vogel as their new head coach, so that's for sure what he's going to implement, playing defense. We know that he did win the 2020 NBA championship with the Lakers for a reason. He is a really good coach. I would say even though he lost his job, he is really good, and he's going to be good for the Phoenix Suns, I would say. I definitely do think the Denver Nuggets are still the favorites and should be looked as the favorites, not only in the Western Conference, but in the league. But these moves by the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers make them marginally better and closer to the Denver Nuggets, I would say. The NBA is wide open right now. We don't know who exactly is going to win, which is a beautiful thing. A few years ago with the Golden State Warriors and stuff like that, I hated those days because we could just tell who was going to win. But now it's wide open, and even though Phoenix Suns do have a big 3 like that, and despite adding those pieces that I just talked about, there's still a huge unknown, and we don't know how those 3 players will play together, but it's still going to be interesting to see. So if I had to grade the Phoenix Suns offseason, I would say probably a C+ or something like that. We're going to get into 2 more Western Conference teams, and then I'm going to examine the whole NBA and just different storylines and things of that nature. But right now I want to talk about my hometown team, the Houston Rockets. They were able to make some interesting moves to try and be competitive, try to advance things going forward. Of course, Ime Udoka is going to be in his first season for being suspended from the Boston Celtics in the 2022-23 season and ultimately losing his job. We know that he's a damn good coach, man. 2022, As a first year as the Celtics head coach, he made the finals. And regardless of what happened off the court, he is a really good coach, man. No one can deny that. So we're going to see how things will go next season. Signed Fred VanVleet on a huge deal, 3 years, $130 million, getting paid over $43+ million per year to play. Fred VanVleet is a really, really good player. As a Houston Rockets fan, that contract is, it's a massive, I would say massive overpay, but I think Fred VanVleet, he'll be able to help players like Jalen Green, new rookie Amen Thompson. One question I have about Kevin Porter Jr. is how that all is going to fit with a lot of guards that they sign and things of that nature, but only time will tell with that. But I think that Fred VanVleet, he's going to be a really good voice. Of course, winning the NBA Finals, being a part of that championship team in Toronto in 2019. His presence is going to help us sign another veteran in Jeff Green, who won his first NBA championship this year in Denver. It'll be his second stint with the Houston Rockets after being a part of that 2019-20 team. So that's really going to be good for them. Now, another contract that I was kind of about was Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks, regardless of what everyone says, all the memes, all the Shanghai stuff, he needs to learn Japanese, Mandarin, Chinese, all that stuff. They are funny, I'm not going to lie. But the only reason why we're saying that is because he called out LeBron. And you know, with that territory, that's a slippery slope. But if you really look things at a real level, objectively, he's one of the best defenders in the league. Like, let's be honest. That contract getting $20 million per year for 4 years, I don't know about that one either. But he's going to be a good presence for the Houston Rockets as well. Like I said before, the Rockets are for sure going to be more competitive. There's going to be 10 to 12 competitive teams in the Western Conference for sure. Like, there's no doubt about that. It's going to be super close. But I think the Houston Rockets, they should be in the mix to make a play-in spot. There's no excuse, really. Udoka being his first year in Houston, and then all the different pieces that they added, all the young talent that they have. Alfred Sengun is another player that's really been looked as the best player in that young core right now. Of course, they have Jalen Green, who was drafted second overall in 2021, but Sengun, he is really nice, man. And then Jabari Smith just developing him even more. Different players like Tyree Eason. I mean, they have a lot of bench depth, man, now with all these different additions and things of that nature. So the Houston Rockets are a team that we can't sleep on too much. But at the same time, I don't know how serious to take them. It's really an interesting thing. If I have to rate the Houston Rockets free agency, I would say probably a B- or a C+. Whatever way you want to slice it. They definitely did good. I would say they did solid. They were trying to get Brook Lopez, but they were unable to pry him away from the Milwaukee Bucks. But I think that the Houston Rockets, they had a solid free agency. The last team that I quickly wanted to talk about was the Memphis Grizzlies. They were able to sign my favorite player of all time, Derrick Rose. Now, I know this isn't a crazy landscaping type of signing right now, especially with how he wasn't able to get minutes with the New York Knicks, which I have a lot to say about that. But shortly talking about that as a D-Rose fan, he balled out in the 2021 NBA playoffs with New York. He still has a lot left in the tank. There's a lot of people who give him charity class and things like that when he got in the game this year. Like, bro can really still hoop. Julius Randle, he won Most Improved Player in 2021, but in that series against the Atlanta Hawks, D Rose was for sure the best player on the Knicks. Like, he was hooping, like averaging 20-something points in this series, and he was really playing good. But let me digress on that. My D Rose fanism is coming out a lot, but seriously talking about it, man, he's gonna be able to help Ja Morant for sure. All the stuff that he has been going and dealing with off the court, showing guns, all things like that, really just so stupid. Don't get me started on that. D-Rose is going to help be able to, you know, provide that veteran presence for him. Not only D-Rose, but also Marcus Smart. I think that was a really good trade for the Memphis Grizzlies because that provides another veteran voice, another good leader, and really just an overall solid player in the NBA just to be able to help with Marcus Smart. He's a defensive player of the year. He won in 2022, so he's a really good piece to help the Memphis Grizzlies for sure. And then you have people coming back like Steven Adams. Brandon Clark did tear his Achilles, so hopefully he'll be able to come back next season. But they have a really good core over there in Memphis as well, and they'll be in the mix. Desmond Bane signed a rookie contract extension, so that's going to be help them as well. Defensive player of the year, Jaren Jackson Jr. So now you have two defensive player of the years, the past two, and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Marcus Smart. So the Grizzlies, they'll be good after Ja Morant serves that suspension, I feel like. And even when those first 25 games are going on, I think that the Memphis Grizzlies, they'll be able to stay above water because they have vets like D-Rose, like Marcus Smart, who are going to be able to help that team stay in line. And they still have a really good roster overall. One can make the argument that if Brandon Clark and Steven Adams played in that Lakers series in the first round, that the Lakers would have lost in the first round, but who knows. But the Grizzlies, I think that they had a pretty good offseason, not just in free agency, because they didn't really do too much besides signing Derrick Rose, but still getting Marcus Smart. So I would say I would give them a B or a B- for sure. Some different things I wanted to talk about before I close out this video. Talking about earlier the Damian Lillard trade request. I mean, obviously it's been about time. We all know that. Realistically, who was going to go to the Pacific Northwest in Portland to play over there? No offense to my people who live up there in that area around Portland. Then of course they don't have a team now, but Seattle and things of that nature. But everyone wants to go to the hot markets and things like that, of course, or teams that already have well-established players who are championship contenders. And the Portland Trailblazers, they've just been the definition of mid for like the past few years now. No offense, not even mid at this point, because after 2020 and 2021 they've missed the playoffs the past 2 seasons. And although they do have some good young talent now, Anthony Simons is really good, and now drafting Scoot Henderson, having Shaden Sharp, and a lot of different young talent like that. That's going to be interesting to see. And like I talked about earlier, if they keep Thibault, that'll be good too. They did re-sign Grant, which is interesting because the day after that happened, Damian Lillard requested a trade. So one could say that maybe they wouldn't have re-signed him if they knew that Damian Lillard was going to ultimately request a trade. So that's going to be a hard hit to their cap space. But whatever trade that they're able to get for Damian Lillard, I feel like they'll be able to help. I don't think it really makes too much sense in terms of a straight up Heat deal to just get Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and things like that. I think you're going to need to get a third team involved so you can get the adequate compensation for a player like Damian Lillard. But I think ultimately Damian Lillard will end up in Miami. But regardless, the Portland Trailblazers, just looking at them in the whole Dame trade situation, I mean, it's what had to happen, you know? Like, it's just been time. And it looks like things are going to be peaceful, I would say. Damian Lillard, he gave his heart and soul for that franchise. The furthest he was able to take them was the Western Conference Finals in 2019 against the Golden State Warriors team, and got swept. I mean, no one really gave them a chance then, but to just be able to put all on the line like he did for them, he's one of the greatest point guards of all time. You can easily say that. A great scorer. Like, he deserves that opportunity to shine in a big market on a big team, to be able to compete for an NBA championship. We've been waiting for that for sure. Dame is one of the best players in the league, and I'm interested to see that. Other things we can talk about, of course, Marcus Smart was dealt to the Grizzlies, but also Kristaps Porzingis, he ended up going to the Boston Celtics. I don't really know how to feel about that. I don't like that Boston traded Marcus Smart because he isn't the best player on the team. Obviously, that's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, whatever way you want to slice that. I think it's Tatum. But Marcus Smart was a leader of that team. He was a glue that kept them together. And of course, I get getting Porzingis to add some more scoring and another big to help protect the paint and things of that nature, but I just don't know. And Porzingis, he has had a lot of health concerns over the years. Last season, he was able to play, I think, 65 games. So one of his healthiest seasons. He averaged 23 points per game, something like that. But there were no expectations for Washington to do well, so he was just able to flourish there. Celtics, they're supposed to be championship contenders, so we're going to see how that works out. Definitely give it a chance to for sure work out, because you have Al Horford as well, in addition to Porzingis and Robert Williams still. So those are some good bigs. I'm glad that they didn't trade Malcolm Brogdon, because they initially were going to trade him to the Clippers. So that'll be able to help, even though he has his health concerns as well. So a lot of storylines for the Boston Celtics, but also moving into another Eastern Conference team, the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden opted into his deal and requesting a trade. Man, I don't know how to feel about that. He was at that Hamptons party a few days ago with Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, so I don't know if a deal is ultimately going to end up happening. There's been rumors about him going to the Clippers. I mean, that really won't do anything for me, honestly. The Clippers, despite the talent that they have in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they just can't stay healthy. Kawhi Leonard tore his meniscus in the playoffs, so he'll be missing a lot of significant time. Hopefully not another full season, because he missed the 2022 season. But if he misses 2024 as well, like, man, Clippers, like, are you going to blow things up eventually? Because I know you have Paul George and Kawhi, and those are great names for sure, but like in the past 4 to 5 years, y'all haven't done squat. So James Harden going there really wouldn't do anything for me, in my opinion. Like, what would that change? And Russell Westbrook is there as well. He re-signed there. We've already seen that story with them two playing together, so I think that would be hectic. Not because of personalities, because they're great friends off the court and things of that nature, but we've already seen this story, and then just, I don't think it will work. I think it will be catastrophic and a disgusting masterclass. Another team is the Golden State Warriors, not necessarily in free agency, but of course acquiring a player like Chris Paul. Man, I don't know how to feel about that either. It could definitely be good in terms of IQ, getting easier shots for Steph and Clay. You having Draymond, you re-sign him, of course. And Chris Paul is an expiring deal, so I understand that as well. And you never know what could happen. I feel like he'll have a Jared Jack type of role. If y'all remember in 2012, 2013, when Steph had his first season on the rise, when he was really showing that he was that dude, being the best shooter in the world. Jared Jack kind of played like that point guard position, and Steph kind of operated around the 2, being that combo guard, and Clay operated around the 2 and the 3. So maybe it'll be something like that if they want Chris Paul to start. But if Chris Paul came off the bench, that would be really good too. But that's a conversation him and Steve Kerr would have to have if he has too much pride for that. But regardless, I think it'll be intriguing. A lot of things. I'm sorry I'm saying things will be interesting interesting, or time will tell, or stuff like that. But really, that's all it is, because with all these different storylines in the NBA, it's just so unpredictable. We don't know how things will go. But yeah, guys, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to take away with the Golden State Warriors and just Western Conference in general. And really, I focus on the Western Conference a lot because if you look at it in the landscape, that's where most action happened. Eastern Conference, sure, some moves were made, but nothing too crazy, I would say. But a lot is going to go down next year, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, guys, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Who won the 2023 NBA free agency? Also, let me know in the comments down below where you think Damian Lillard will be traded to. Do you think it'll be Miami? Because that is a team that he said that he wants to play for outright. But do you think a team like the Brooklyn Nets or the Philadelphia 76ers will come into the fold, provide a better package for the Portland Trailblazers? Or do you think that the Trailblazers will ultimately honor Dame's request to go to Miami and get that deal done? Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. And who won free agency? I appreciate you guys watching. Always make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss, and also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for more cooking videos, shorts, different content, and things of that nature. I appreciate y'all guys. Always be blessed. Hope your summer is going well. Know that you can do all things. You have great purpose. You matter. Keep being blessed, and y'all have a good one.